The Gila. So taking into account, you guys, that when you're using this Gila ship, the ship should be considered in any alpha player's hands almost end game to the cruiser like vessels that exist in EVE Online. What I mean by that is this is a fully skilled alpha account and you only need the 1% CPU implant to complete this build. So right here you can see that I'm full alpha mode, but it is pretty much when it would come to like combat wise and ship wise, almost like up to the cruiser level, it would be considered a fully alpha trained account. So this is considered like an end game Gila build. You could make it with less skills, but it would still probably be as viable. You just wouldn't have as much DPS. With that being said, what we had to do for these sites is we had to make this pure CPU low. CPU low. Most people would put higher DPS. They would put like Tech 2 rapid lights, etc. in here, and then but you want this to be low CPU and this low CPU and the drones to low CPU. What that does is that allows us to sneak on the drone link augmentator 1. Now what you guys need to understand, as a full alpha account, without that your drone control range in a drone vessel is about 40 kilometers, which means that any NPCs that you come across, you pretty much have to get into mid control or consider their brawl range with like battleships and stuff like that. You have to get in with the 40-30 kilometer mark before you could peel away or keep angle sliding to reduce the DPS using velocity, etc. like that, like speed tanking. So with by doing that, it makes it completely harder for the alpha player because you are going to get hit. So adding all of this to the lower CPU, we do lose about, I would say about 70 to 85 DPS lowering all of this, but in the end it takes us from alpha mode drone control range to omega drone control range, because if we took this off and then quickly went to omega, it would be around 60 65. So all of this allows us to go full omega drone control range and allows us to be able to do kiting and keeping our range away when things get hairy and stuff like that. So all in all, it's a pretty solid build. There is a DPS build where you would take all of this off and you would put drone 2 amplifiers down here and you would take all of this off going to the 40 kilometer brawl range and you would put only 3 rapid light missile launchers. So always remember that. So there is a DPS build and you'll see that later. And that'll takes us to about 560, 570 DPS depending on your tune's ability. Some around 583 maxing out, and taking into account that these DED sites and these combat sites that you guys will be seeing me do in these upcoming videos, we are fighting Sancha and Blood Raiders, so the resistance type that we want against them is EM and Thermal. Also remembering that with this build, if you go to any of the 4 major zones, which would be Caldari, Galente, Minmatar, and Damar, as long as you don't have negative standings with them so that their NPCs or Concords won't kill you, like their Navy and stuff like that, you can take these down there. And as we see, we have thermal and disposition and the EM ward. You can change these to any resistance and damage type that you're supposed to resist and deal for those sites that you're doing. So all in all, this makes it a pretty solid build, and as long as you're not running this completely, you can stabilize, so you can rep up, get what you need, and then turn it back on, so you allow your capacitor to can never run out. It's pretty easy. But you have to remember that you're still alpha mode, so you have to respect the sites that you're doing, as long as, especially ones that you're exceeding like 4 out of 10 DEDs or high level combat sites, because it gets pretty hairy in there. And some bosses you won't be able to break on your own, as it has a higher like tank, so you can't break it with the Gila. There is some complexes that you guys will see later and stuff like that that you cannot break in this build. You won't even be able to break it in the DPS build, which is almost 600 DPS. So that tells me that when you're trying to blitz sites in a smaller ship and get them done quicker, so that if a player comes in when you're traveling in low sec zones and stuff like that, as long as you're not in high sec. So I would say low sec and null sec if you're brave enough to go out there. When you're doing those zones, it's easier to do it in a faster vessel, because if somebody comes in, you can escape versus aligning out with your battleship, etc. like that. Plus, being a battleship in low sec and null sec on actual D-scan makes you a pretty juicy target, so it's easier to just roll around in a cruiser style vessel. Always remembering to take into account, you guys, that this is considered the end game version of an alpha player's cruiser skilled NPC ship, because this thing will make you a lot of ISK as long as you're highly smart about it and you choose risk to reward, meaning that you only risk it when you know there's going to be a good route. But we can't control the drops, so it means like only go to low sec if you made a bunch of money. And so far we made like a billion plus, so everything in here is just pretty much just icing on the cake. With that being said, let's get right into the DED site.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so this is another escalation from the Blood Annex, and what you do is you kill the main guy and then he possibly allows you to escalate into the Blood Raider power grid. Now I've done this one before, and if I recall that you get pretty decent loot drops from it so far. From the original site before the escalation we managed to snag a Dark Blood Stasis Webifier. So with that said, we're going to warp to 4 locations. And during these locations, location 1, 2, and 3 will be more escalations. The point to do that is the sites, you have to kill the Dark Bloods, and then they cause the escalation, but also the escalation could fail, and that could be as far as we go. So with that said, I'm not going to sit here and let you guys watch the jumps, but I'll meet you in the first location.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so we're here in the system at the first location. What you always do is open up your agency, the exploration tab, and it'll show you where your escalation led to. This is considered an expedition, even though it has under the escalation tabs. I don't know if that's considered the same thing now, but before it used to be 2 different things. So I'm warping to the location now, and when we warp to the first spawn, because we have to keep killing them to keep the escalation going. So when we land here, there will be about 8 frigates, maybe a cruiser or a destroyer, some phantasm style ones, and some battle cruisers. And then we're trying to kill the battleship, which is the Dark Blood Prophet. He'll have the escalation right here, so here it is. Look for the Dark Blood Prophet. There he is right there. Him over there, he'll have the escalation to the next site, so I'm just going to speed the camera up now until we get there. See you guys shortly.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so what we're doing is we're just kind of tanking the other guys. Also remember that these ones can nuke us as well when it comes to the Blood Raiders. So I'm just slowly creeping towards this guy. Once he goes down, the escalation should continue, or it'll stop here. Oh, we got more of the escalation, okay. And this guy will have the possible faction loot. I'm just going to kill these frigates so I get the loot in case they scram me. Let's check the drop here. Nice, we ended up getting a Dark Blood battery on top of what we already got. Drones in, we'll warp to the station just to get a safe spot. Right there you guys go. So we're gonna head to the second part, and I'll see you guys over there.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so we did actually get killed there when I warped to the station, but I'm going to show you guys that because of that, we are full alpha mode as you can see here. So we go here, full alpha mode. So I'm going to have to take all of this loot, and if you guys are wondering about this loot, right here as I can show you, this is what I accumulated doing combat sites in about a week, and I never sat and did like long periods of time as I've been kind of busy in life. So what I did was I did like an hour a day, sometimes maybe one site, maybe a couple sites, but in total this is what we have in about a week of casually running combat sites in the MR zone. So I have to take all of this now and I have to rip it up to G to sell it and get another ship. Here is our lost mail. Sadly, in the lost mail we did have a Blood Raider stasis webifier, and we had a Blood Raider battery, which is right here, Dark Blood heavy neutralizer, Dark Blood stasis webifier. But all in all, I'm going to show you guys what happened with the fight. I ended up talking to one of them, and it was kind of an awe moment for both of us, as they never really thought about it either, as they were undocking at the same time that I undocked so that they could sino somewhere. And what happened was, as I was undocking, the mass of the ship caused me to bump away while I quicked warp, and there was no getting back to the station for the ship's mass was always blocking me. So with that, I'm just going to show you guys a quick clip of what happened, and then we'll head up to Gila.
A few moments later.
Alright, as you guys can see here, I was in the middle of my warp and his mass was too much as he came out and undocked and bumped me. And then for some reason when we were trying to go back to the station, his mass was interacting with, I don't know, maybe the functionality of the game, but it wouldn't let me. And even when I was within 2500 of the station, usually it's supposed to let you dock, but it might be less than that now, as it's been a while since I've actually had a junction like this where you actually need to dock up super fast before you get aced. So the mass of the aircraft carrier was making it so I could not get back to the dock, as I had to awkwardly go around the side of him, and by the time that happened, the Gnosis here bumps me and that's game over. But this is Eve, you know, so you can't win them all. I could have easily have just warped to the gate and went back to high sec instead of going to this low sec station. So in the end, all deaths, all ship destructions, all choices, they're made by us and they're our own fault. It can be no one else's. I laugh at this, head to Gila and continue on the expedition. Whee! I'll see you guys in the next spot.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, we're back at the second location here for the Blood Raider Power Grid Escalation. There is 4 parts to it, so we're going to remember to always open up our agency, go to the Exploration tab, /escalations, and then you'll have your menu. We're going to warp to the location. This is location 2, so there's usually about 4 to 11 frigates, some destroyers, there's about 3 or 6 cruisers, and then there's 4 battle cruisers, 3 battleships, and then there's the Dark Blood battleship. Also, you have to remember that you can be webbed and scrammed in here, and when it comes to Dark Blood or Blood Raider NPCs, they do newt versus the other ones, so you have to take that into account. So as that being said, let's land here and close this. There they are all over there. There's the dark guy, just so you guys can see. Right here, Dark Blood Archbishop. We'll zoom right in on him. You guys can see right here, this is the target for the next escalation, and he'll have possible faction loot drops. Okay, that being said, we're going to go ahead and speed up the video, and I'll see you guys shortly.
A few moments later.
Okay, there you have it, guys. The dark raider's down, so we're gonna go over there and try to loot the case here. And in the meantime, let's finish up getting these guys that are nuding us. Try to tank it as we go. Remember, possible faction loot here. We did get the next escalation, which will be this one here, so we'll set destination. And we'll head over here and see if we can score some nice loot. Oh, we almost got completely looted out. Watch my shield. See what we get. Nice. We got some nice stuff there. Okay, so let's warp away. Kill engine, turn a repper on. Oh. That's a line. Wait for our drones. Let's go. And we're up. Okay, so we did get a Dark Blood Warp Scrambler there and a Crystal Tag. Also we got a piece of ammo there. So far so good. So that was the second one, and I'll see you guys at the third location.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, we're here in the third location. Always remembering to do the old exploration escalations in the agency window to warp to the location. And let's warp to there now. Now this is the third location, so there should be about 3 battleships here. Maybe some sages, and there's the blood NPC. He should cause the escalation to the 4th zone and drop also more faction loot. So if you ever do this one, it is highly profitable to get this escalation, even though we took a hit and died during it, as what can you do? That's part of the game. So let's go ahead here and land, and we'll see what the loot ferry will entail for us. It's a pretty long jump, it seems. Activate our resistances. Always remember, we're in a low sec system, so keep your D scans up, and to remember to avoid the spot where you came in onto the site, as that will be considered the beacon. Okay, this one looks small, so we could probably blitz it. There's the Dark Blood right there, so let's just burn right at him and get him done as fast as we can. No need to kill the other guys, but we also might face newt pressure, so start looking for a place to align out to. Nothing's newting us yet. We will turn our engine off and align to there. Remember to keep our D scans up, make sure there's nothing coming. He's going down pretty quick. Looks like we can break it, no problem. Alright, he's going down. Hopefully we get the 4th escalation here, which will take us to the final zone where we can get some nice BPs and good faction loot. And bam. Okay, nice. We did get the escalation. Let's see what the loot berry holds for us. We got a Dark Blood cap and a crystal tag, so that's all good. Alright, so let's open up our agency window. Now we set destination to Young. Alright, I'll see you guys at the final location.
A few moments later.
Okay guys, here we are in the final location, so we're gonna warp to the location. Remember that we are in dangerous low sec zones. We're pretty close to null sec, so we have to keep the scans up, and we're going to the final spot, so this should have kind of more guys than usual. There's two parts to it, so we're gonna finish this off when we land here. Let's see, we should have about three. I'm trying to just remember. We should have like 3, 7, 8. We're looking for the colonel, and this is a serious site if I do recall. So let's take the gate. This would be considered a higher level expedition for the fact that you can't really blitz the expedition sites, for they're all battleship targets. If they were smaller targets, you could blitz the expeditions and just grab the loot and take off. So we have to clear these rooms here. So just so you guys can see, we're completely surrounded. And let's instantly align out, start locking up all the small stuff. Make sure we don't get pinned or tackled. There's new pressure coming in already. See if we can get some distance here, start locking up the guys that are nuding us. Okay, there's one of the guys nuding us there. Trying to pull range away from them. Okay, so you guys can see that we're in the zone. So we'll wrap up once. Put everything on this neuter. That seems we got capped out almost. Or we're about to be. So we might have to warp away and come back to the site. Just gonna sit here under this pressure and see if we can take them out. As they are pretty far away, thus the nuding pressure shouldn't be that much. As you guys can see here, I'm bursting my invols, my resistances against them, so that's making them hit me real slow. Because look at the screen, they're not really hitting me too much. So the nuding pressure doesn't really matter at this point because there's no actual damage coming in. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to try and kill these neuters as quick as possible. I'm pretty sure there was another one. Let's lock up these destroyers. I think that was the other neuter. We seem to be getting cat back now, so I'm just going to go ahead as we stabilize you guys, and then we're going to speed up the video, and I'll catch you guys shortly.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so we're rolling into the second part of the final location. So this is the second room. In here there's about 35 targets ranging from frigates to battleships to battle cruisers. So pretty much what we're looking for is the Dark Blood Colonel. He'll be the final kill. He'll finish the escalation and he'll give us the faction loot. So let's look around and see what we can see. Set this to distance. Start locking up everything around us. Find our exit point, so we'll use this location here. And then look around. Let's get on this guy. Alright, so we can see that the Dark Blood guy is right here, the Dark Blood Colonel. He'll have all the goods and be the end of the site. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and finish speeding up the video, and I'll see you guys shortly.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so the Dark Blood Colonel's going down here. He will be the main loot drop for the escalation, and then this will finish up the site here. So I'm not going to kill all the other guys, I'm going to tank the rest, and I'm just going to try to finish it. Let's see what we get. Corpy C-type, that was all. Drones in. As you guys can see, that was the site. From all the things minus the loss, we would have got about six, maybe around 500 to 600 worth of loot. And alright, warp away and we're done. So I hope that was informational for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.